who are you, and what exactly is it that your business is trying to solve?
My name is Tarique Al-Ansari. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Paystone. Paystone is Canada's largest bank independent payment processor. We process around $8 billion in GMV. We have close to 35,000 merchants in North America, and we're looking to expand our global footprint, and this is why we're in the Caribbean.
So why specifically the Caribbean? Because a lot of places you could expand. You know, you got a pretty big neighbour just to the south of you. Why look at the Caribbean?
Actually, coming to the Caribbean was not about expanding market share. That came second after we picked the first reason, and the first reason was actually the talent pool. So when we looked at coming to the Caribbean, it was because Paystone is a very fast-growing company. We're just hit over 200 employees recently, and we're looking at hiring the next 50 to 100 employees. And instead of having everybody in North America competing against the same or over the same talent pool, our thinking was, why don't we look outside of North America for qualified talent that can actually join our team, part of our growth initiatives. And one of the objectives we wanted to keep is maintain North American time zone. So our options were either Latin America or the Caribbean. We prefer the Caribbean because more native English-speaking nations. And when we looked at the Caribbean specifically, we started assessing so many different criteria, including weather. So Barbados has the least hurricanes, as you're aware, in the Caribbean. Infrastructure, high-speed internet, population. A lot of companies, especially from Canada, they have their head offices here in Barbados, and that means there's very qualified talent. And then the laws are similar because it's common law for labor laws, it makes things easy. And then there is a lot of accessibility. So the banks are similar, so like setting up payroll, travel for us, and there is daily flights to Toronto and to Montreal to Barbados. So and one more reason actually is the safety. So we were really impressed by how safe the island is compared to what we hear from stories about other places. And all of basically Barbados checked all the boxes. And for that we thought it would make sense to have our next office here and plan so much more of our people expansion in the Caribbean, and focus on Barbados.
Amazing. I gather you've just been having a wee look at office space today, in fact.
That is true. I was actually, there's a few options that we're looking at, and we're right now the company had gone fully remote. So in Canada, the team has gone, fully remote, but we still maintain offices in where we have a sizable team. So we have an office in Montreal, Quebec, we have an office in Vancouver, British Columbia, and we have an office in London, Ontario, where I reside. And the plan is, of course, to have another office in Barbados, because that's where we plan the next, boost of hires to be coming from. So it makes sense to have an office here, and I'm planning to spend more time here. And when we started looking, like I told you, the main objective was actually hiring. And then after that, we started looking at the market, and we're like, there's a huge opportunity here. 80% of transactions, at the point of sale are actually done cash. And we're like, we could contribute to that. We could be at the forefront of that digital adoption and the cashless society, and especially with COVID and accelerating all of these trends. We believe that we have some unique value proposition, and we would like to introduce that to the Caribbean. And being based in Barbados will give us direct access to all the Caribbean markets. And the Caribbean market is just as big as Canada. When you think about population, we're talking about 30 million people in the in the Caribbean, and actually more than 30 million people, even outside of Cuba, which is significant.
Brilliant, excellent. Thinking on that, obviously I know you're speaking on stage in a wee bit, but this is the first time Fintech Islands have put on their conference. What's been your initial reaction so far to this event?
That is a great question. When we first got invited to come speak and participate in the conference, our thinking was it's going to be like a small mini version of a Barbados-based conference. But after talking to this, the organizers and Billy Griffith and Alison and Kurt and Andrew Morris and Peter, we were really impressed by the caliber of attendees and how they're really attracting everybody from all around the different islands in the Caribbean. And if you look at the conference and you go over the attendees, most of them are actually not just from Barbados. They're coming from all over, like Jamaica, Trinidad, and everywhere else. And then we were also impressed by the government support to the conference. the Prime Minister Office, Tourism Barbados and Invest Barbados and different ministries and cabinet team members that were all here from the government. It was really impressive to see that kind of support to attract fintechs and get behind this conference, and that to us was actually a strong vote of confidence for why we picked Barbados, because part of the reasons actually what we like about Barbados is the political stability and the government support for attracting quality employers and companies that are going to come to the island. And that was one of, was really good to see. And, we actually told the organizers we'd love to be here next year again, because we were very impressed by the, traction that we saw.
100%. I'm really impressed with me. I keep joking. I'm not really joking. We should swap prime ministers. The last thing I kind of want to touch on now, so you're expanding into Barbados, so you've got offices all over Canada. What do you think of any place that you've worked? The first thing you think of is the people that you were working with, that company culture. How do you, with a mixture of remote working, but also cross-border working, how do you maintain that culture is infiltrated everywhere and everyone is singing off the same hymn sheet?
Great point. So right before COVID, our company is very acquisitive. So we grew through acquisitions. We've done 6 acquisitions and we're about to close our 7th. And because we already were, across different offices in Quebec and British Columbia and in Ontario, we actually had to invest in remote culture and in remote communications and reach and digital tools so that the team always connected, and doesn't matter which office you're at, or which location you're in, you're still, supported and part of the team. And then when COVID came, we actually saw, we reaped the benefit of that investment that happened before COVID, because for us, it didn't feel so hard to adjust to being remote first and being digital first. And we launched our people first strategy, which really is, we're going after talent where talent is, and we're gonna cater for this talent with what will make them most productive. And this is why we maintain a remote first strategy, but allow everybody to have access to the office, to come and have events, as well as, of course, any team meetings and brainstorming sessions and all of that. One of the things that is worth mentioning is when we look at our Barbados office, we're actually not looking at just an offshore team that is going to be treated like consultants or contractors or external team. This is actually going to be, part of the global Paystone team. They're going to have the same benefits and privileges and even participation in stock options and equity in the company like the rest of the team in Canada, which is helping us attract the right caliber of talent that we're looking for, because we're coming after the best people, and that helps a lot. So everything we've done from investing in remote and in digital and our people first strategy, everything we're doing in treating this Barbados office and the Barbados team just like everybody else in Canada, and it's part of one team. And actually, I want to mention something to you. With COVID, we actually hired a bunch of people outside of North America. And that was fragmented. There wasn't there's actually a few in Costa Rica, some in Colombia, and they all feel part of the team. Even when we run a company event, we make sure we ship them the same swag and goods that the rest of the team gets. Yeah, sometimes it gets there a little bit delayed due to mailing, but that is something that we believe we will do much better in Barbados, because I'll be spending more time here, and we're very serious about this expansion, and we look at it as a huge opportunity. Like I said, the Caribbean market is just as big as Canada, and it's a very untapped market when it comes to digital tools and payments.